What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today, yes, it's finally come back. 2022 NCAA Tournament Bracketology. As the 2022 season is getting upon us, I decided to start out with this one. Bracketology was a while back, in September 15th. But this is my, as of this, good time to make it. Obviously, I think he'll come out with a one right before the season starts. So, first off, let's take a look at the bracket watch. At the top overall seed, Gonzaga. First team out, Oklahoma. Last team in, Iowa. So let's see this. Memphis makes the biggest move since our August update, adding star freshman Emmanuel Bates to loaded roster and climbing up all the way to number 2 seed. It remains to be seen whether the Tigers can live up to the hype. Penny Hardaway is recruited like a Final Four coach, but has yet to make the NCAA tournament. His team appears to be a lock for 2022, but the list of serious contenders headed for New Orleans is deep and unpredictable. As for teams on the bubble, Mississippi State sides out of the projected at-large field, and Iowa returns to the last 4 in the group. So yeah, that's kind of the summary. On the bubble, we see right here the last 4 byes: Richmond, St. Mary's, Colorado, and BYU. The last 4 in: Colorado State, Seton Hall, Rutgers, and Iowa. The first 4 out: Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Washington State, and St. John's. And then the next 4 out: Syracuse, Creighton, Arizona, and Wisconsin. So yeah, that's our 68-team bracket. Let's look at what's going on here. Jumping up since the August one is Virginia, Oregon, BYU, and then drop it down is Illinois, Indiana, and Villanova. Villanova will be jumping up. In the East, we have only 2 movements here. Iowa drop it down to 16, Michigan State jumping up to 6. And then in the South, we have 3. Houston drops down to 4. We have Texas Tech dropping down to 7, and Yale jumps up to 15. In the Midwest, we have a lot more movement here with Buffalo jumping up to 12. Liberty dropping down to 13, switching that with Buffalo. Maryland dropping down to 6. Baylor dropping down to 3. And Memphis dropping down to 2. So we'll see what all happens here in this season. So yeah, let's get into our first 4 predictions. And starting out with Seton Hall in Iowa, I think that Seton Hall will be able to get this win to start at the first 4, as they're just always a solid March Madness team when you look at them. Morgan State against Nicholas State, I believe. Nicholas State. Whenever you have these ones, it really doesn't matter. But we'll go with Nicholas State. Bryant against Prairie View A&M. Prairie View, I think, will win that one, I believe. Prairie View. And then Colorado State and Rutgers. I'm going to pick Colorado State in that matchup. So let's get over here. Sorry, one sec. It's being very laggy. Okay. So I nicely did. Okay. So yeah, starting with Gonzaga against Nicholas State. I don't think Nicholas State pull off the upset there. Oklahoma State against Virginia. I'll go with, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. This team coming from last year with Cade Cunningham, I think will be able to get some of that tournament experience in them. Oregon against BYU. I will go with Oregon in that game. Arkansas against Vermont. Ooh, that could be a very high upset They're from Vermont. They're always a solid team, but I'm going to go with Arkansas right there. Auburn against Colorado. Now, Auburn, a decently well-coached team, but against Colorado, Pac-12 type team, we saw how good they did. I'm going to go with the 6th seed, though, Auburn. I think that they're going to be able to get that win and move on. Illinois gets Wright State. I think that's going to go to Illinois. Then Louisville against Indiana. Give me Louisville. And Villanova gets Northeastern. So no upsets, I think, will happen in the West. Moving on to the East, I believe. Texas against Iona. Could we see a major upset from Iona? No, I don't think it'll happen. Xavier against Florida. I think the 8th seed Xavier will be able to move on. North Carolina gets Seton Hall. I'm going to go with Seton Hall. Actually, I'm going to go with them with the upset. I think coming off a play-in tournament type game, getting a win, facing out against North Carolina, I think is overranked right there, especially without their coach. I think that Seton Hall gets the job done and moves on to the second round. Alabama against Colgate. I do think Bama will be able to get that win, but Colgate, an impressive 13 seed. Michigan State against Belmont. I really want to go with Belmont in this game. You know, as long as you see one of those teams, you know they're going to be solid. And I'm going to actually go with Belmont. I think that they upset Michigan State, so Michigan State getting out early for the second straight year in a row. So some of the big name programs in basketball, North Carolina and Michigan State, I think, get out early. And then Duke against Southern Utah. Give me Duke. UConn against, that would be a huge game, Michigan State against Duke, but I don't think that happens. UConn against Richmond. I'm going to go with Richmond in that game. Purdue against Georgia State. I'll go with Purdue. Okay. All right, Kansas against Winthrop. Give me Kansas in that game. LSU against Virginia Tech. I'm going to go with... It's actually tough. I'm going to go with Virginia Tech. LSU, sorry. That game could go either way, I think. That's all 8 and 9 type matches seem to do. St. Bonaventure's against UAB. I'm going to go with St. Bonaventure's in that game. Houston gets UC Santa Barbara. I'm actually going to go with the 13th seed for an upset. UC Santa Barbara, I think that this team, we saw them last year in March Madness. They get some of that experience playing a Houston team who I think is overranked. I think UC Santa Barbara goes into that game, pulls off the upset, and moves on. Florida State against Colorado State. I do think that Florida State will be able to withhold Colorado State. Kentucky against New Mexico State. Give me Kentucky. Texas Tech against San Diego State. I'm actually going to go with Texas Tech, the 7 seed. Have I gone with the 10 seed? Oh, yeah, I went with Richmond. I thought for a minute. That would be crazy. No 10 seed so far. It's been upset, but I am going to go with Texas Tech. I think that they're the better team over Michigan. San Diego State. And then Michigan, I think, will be able to beat Yale. And then moving on to this region, UCLA against Prairie View. Give me UCLA all day. Notre Dame against West Virginia. I'm going to go with the Notre Dame finally getting off that rebuild, it seems like, for the moment. I'm going to go with the 8 seed Notre Dame in that matchup. And I believe that, I'm going to go with all 8 seeds in those matchups. So, pretty interesting. Tennessee and Buffalo, I'm going to go with the 12 seed upset my second. Buffalo, we all know Tennessee just struggles in March Madness. Plus, Buffalo, they're a solid program, I think, to be able to beat Tennessee in that game. Ohio State against Liberty. This is another matchup where I could see an upset, but I'm going to go with Ohio State in that game. I just think that they can get that win over Liberty. Maryland against Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago's turned out to be a team you should definitely be scared of playing in March Madness. Against Maryland, this game could go either way, but Loyola Chicago has proven that they can get the job done in March Madness. So I'm going to go with Loyola. I just trust them more than Maryland. Then I think the reigning champs will be able to move on to the round of 32 over San Diego State. USC against St. Mary's. Give me USC. USC, incredible March Madness performance last year. I'll go with them. And then Memphis, I think, will be able to beat Vermont. All right, for a spot in the Sweet 16, we got Gonzaga against Oklahoma State. I don't see Gonzaga losing that one. I think they win that one. Oregon against Arkansas. Ooh. That's a tough one. I am going to go with Oregon, just barely over Arkansas by that game. I think it go. Either way, I could see Vermont in that matchup, but yeah, I'm going to go with Oregon. Auburn against Illinois. I'll go with Illinois. And then Villanova against Louisville. I'll go with Villanova. Okay, so moving down here, we got Texas against Xavier. I'll go with Texas. Seton Hall against Alabama. Do we see a 12-seed upset? I don't think so, Alabama. I think we'll be able to win that one and move on. Duke against Belmont. I could see the upset from Belmont. But, I mean, those are two very hard matchups for Belmont. I think that they're going to be a little bit tired in this game. And I'm going to go with Duke. And then Purdue against Richmond. I'm going to actually go with the 10 seed here. Richmond moving on. The only 10 seed I picked in this game, I think, is going to be able to move on to the Sweet 16 with a huge upset. You just look at Richmond. They got a solid program. This team is just very solid in general. They got a good bench. And this is how I think they're gonna be able to move on and beat Purdue. Okay, so moving on to Kansas against LSU. I don't see the upset happening here. I'm gonna go with Kansas. UC Santa Barbara against St. Bonaventure's. I don't see another upset from UC Santa Barbara. Give me St. Bonaventure's. Florida State against Kentucky. I'll go with Kentucky in that matchup. And then Michigan against Texas Tech. I'll go with Michigan. All right, moving on down here to UCLA and Notre Dame. UCLA, I think, will be able to win that one over Notre Dame. Buffalo against Ohio State. Ooh, the 12-seed Buffalo. I'm going to go with Buffalo in this one. I think that we have another big-time team moving on. And with Buffalo here, you just look at this program, Buffalo. I think they're underranked at number 12. I think this team should be closer to 11 or at least inside the last four in column. So yeah, we'll go with Buffalo in that one. Then Loyola Chicago, it's Baylor, the reigning champs, the Bears. I think we'll be able to withstand Loyola, but I could see the 11th seed, Loyola Chicago, be able to move on. Memphis against USC, I'm going to go with Memphis, okay. All right, moving on over here. For a spot in the Elite Eight, we got Gonzaga and Oregon. Give me Gonzaga. They really they're really going to be able to, dominate all of these teams. Very good. Yeah, sorry. Okay, Gonzaga. Illinois gets Villanova. I'm going to go with the 3-seed Illinois. I think that they're underranked at number 3. I think they should be able to upset Villanova and move on to the Elite Eight. All right, in this region, Texas against Bama. I'm going to go with the 4-seed Alabama, pulling off the upset, call it an upset. I think that Alabama should be favored in this one. We saw what happened last year to Texas, so I think that the first 1 seed falls to Alabama. Duke and the shocking Richmond here making havoc, so I think that Duke wins that one. So then we see a 3 versus a 4 matchup in that Elite Eight. Man, Belmont and Richmond battle would be huge. That would be pretty awesome to see. Okay, so Kansas against St. Bonaventure's. Ooh, I'm going to go with Kansas, but I could see the upset there by the 5 seed, St. Bonaventure's. Kentucky against Michigan, sorry. I'm going to go with the 3 seed Kentucky, I think. Kentucky will be able to beat Michigan. I don't really trust Michigan entering into the year, so I think that Kentucky moves on. All right, moving on down here, UCLA against Buffalo. I'm going to go with the Bruins moving on. And then Baylor against Memphis, another 3 seed, knocking off the 2 seed here in Baylor. So that's going to leave no 2 seeds in the Elite 8. That is huge. I think that Baylor's a solid team that should be able to win that one and move on past Memphis. Okay, so for a spot in the Final Four, Gonzaga against Illinois, I do think that the 1 seed Gonzaga will be able to move on. Now we got a little bit of a havoc in this conference. Duke against Bama. I'm gonna go with the number 4 seed Alabama pulling off an upset over Duke in that game and moving on to the Final Four. Then Kansas against Kentucky. Ooh, okay. That's tough. I'm going to go with Kansas to barely sneak out a win over Kentucky, but I definitely can see Kentucky winning. Then UCLA against Baylor. Obviously, definitely could have been the national championship game last year. I am going to go with... It's difficult. But yeah, I am going to go with UCLA, the next 1 seed to move on. I just see them barely moving on. Baylor obviously not the complete team they were last year. So I think that UCLA moves on. Gonzaga against Alabama, I think this is an easy situation for Alabama to play a 4 seed. So I think that they'll be able to make it out and move on to the championship game. Then UCLA against Kansas. Do we see a rematch? I actually think we do. I think UCLA moves on past Kansas. I think that Kansas very much has a lot of opportunities to get out of this tournament. I think that they could lose to St. Bonaventure's. They can lose to Kentucky. But I think they'll eventually lose there in the Final Four. And then for the championship game, Gonzaga, UCLA. Will Gonzaga get their first championship win in a long time? And is the rain finally back for UCLA? I think that it is Gonzaga to be able to win this national championship. You look at the Bulldogs of Gonzaga, and they're just insane. No one can say no to it. And last year they had a lot of a competition between Baylor. Not saying that the Bruins or Kansas or Texas are bad basketball teams, but Gonzaga, I think, is clearly the best team in the NCAA tournament this year. So I think, yeah, that's my predictions. And anyway, guys, thank you all for watching, and hope you all enjoy your night. So anyway, peace out. Sorry.